So welcome everyone and happy winter solstice. It is a real pleasure to come together with you on this very special day. In the Northern Hemisphere, this might have even more meaning than in the Southern, though both solstices in either hemisphere, right, are really pretty meaningful in terms of the change of the light and what it invites us to do. For me, winter solstice is really special because I grew up in Germany, sort of at the latitude of Oregon, and then I spent 23 years in Alaska. And in Alaska, of course, the winter solstice is a really, really big deal because our days were down to like 4.5 hours by this time of year. And on this day, we started to gain even 1 or 2 minutes a day, which is just sort of a beautiful signal that life is still there, right? We may have been frozen already for 3 months, but life is going on and the light is coming back and it's rewarming us. And so for me, that is still a big association I have with winter solstice, right? Is this sort of idea that as the light returns, warmth returns and life returns and blue skies come back. And there's this sort of sense of rejuvenation and transformation that begins to happen when we reattune to this increase in light. And so even though this is the first day of winter, this is really a day of transformation and a day that invites introspection. And so today really will be a practice that is very introspective, very slow, very gentle. And it is all dedicated to you turning inward to explore what's happening in your body, to explore what's happening in your breath and in your energy, to explore what's happening in your mind, and to really begin to listen to yourself from the inside out. And this is all in preparation for making discerning decisions about anything that you might want to change. Not necessarily for the better, but just things that you want to transform, ways in which you might want to grow or evolve. And, you know, the first stage really is to reflect. And so today we'll focus on the reflection, and then on equinox, 3 months from now, I'll meet you again if you want to. And we will focus a lot on, okay, so now how do we set intentions for actual changes so that as the earth wakes up again when spring comes, we're prepared because we've been using winter time to reflect and to look inward and to really see what's happening in body, breath, energy, mind, and so on. So this will be our focus today. We will be starting with a little bit of a warm-up practice. I'm a firm believer that when you do restorative poses and you take rest with your muscles opening gently, it's good to first bring some blood flow to the musculature. So we will start with a nice gentle movement practice that will give you lots of options about how you will implement it. And then we'll take a standing synchronized breathing practice together, and then we'll move into the restorative postures. And don't panic, you don't need as many props as I have. I tried to set up 3 different stations so that I can show 3 versions of every posture that we will take. One that's entirely on the floor, one that is on the floor but using the support from a chair, and then one where you can actually sit on a chair just in case the floor is not accessible and do the practice that way. So I needed 3 times the props that you actually need because I was trying to sort of anticipate what we might need. All right, so from here, I invite you to find a standing position so that we can move through our warm-up together. Monitor just a little bit. And you can stand on your mat or you can stand on your carpet. There's nothing that will require a sticky mat here. So there are lots of ways in which you can settle yourself in. And we'll start with a little bit of movement with breath. So as you inhale the next time, I invite you to slowly and gently move your arms above the head, and then as you exhale, lower them back down to your side. And you can stand here with your feet hip distance apart or a little bit wider, whatever feels comfortable for you here. And invite your breath to guide your movement. So become even here introspective already. Noticing how quickly your inhale wants to travel in and how gently, or not so gently, the exhalation wants to leave, and let the movement be guided by that. If you would like, you could encourage your muscles on your arms and your legs to really hug onto bones, so creating a little bit of isometric contraction, maybe by spreading your fingers wide, maybe by lifting your toes, or drawing your kneecaps toward your hips. All of this is optional. It's just a nice exploration. And then as you move, it's so tempting to look at the screen, right? But see if you can move and actually look at yourself from the inside out. You could even close your eyes or keep a downcast gaze to make that happen, to feel the movement not as something that's visual and perceivable from the outside, but to feel it as something that is happening from the inside, which is, of course, the more accurate way to look at it from a purely physiological or anatomical perspective. The next time your arms are up and overhead, keep them there. And then for a moment, just invite your shoulder blades to settle down on your back and sort of feel a drawing downward of the arms into the shoulder sockets so that you kind of feel the weight of your arms on your shoulder girdle. And just enjoy that for a moment. Enjoy that really tangible reality of your body in this moment and in this space. And then use your right hand to clasp the left wrist. You can keep your arms overhead. I'm just trying to show this to you. And then again, moving with the breath as you exhale. Gently side bend to the right, inviting your heart to stay open. With the inhale, you'll rise up, switch the clasp of the wrist, and then exhale and side bend to the left. And it's up to you here how you want to move. You can let the opposite hip really move far off to the other side so that you're making a big C shape here, or you can make this a very gentle, small range of motion where the hips barely move and the stretch happens mostly in the side body. And then again, watch your body moving from the inside out. Feel it from the inside out. Maybe closing the eyes, maybe casting your gaze downward, and not being influenced by what you see on the screen, but being influenced by your own breath and the sensations that you can reflect on in your body. So that you're not just warming up the body right now, you're also getting to know your body from the inside out. And perhaps at the same time, you're also re-familiarizing yourself with the breath. The next time you have side bend to the left, let that be your last bend. And when you rise up from there, stretch the arms out overhead and hold them there for a moment. Feeling the weight of your body and gravity here, and just enjoying that you can stretch the body in this way. Maybe pretend that you're really reaching your arms up and your feet down, almost like a stretching rack of sorts, right? That's not the most positive image, but that's what popped into my head. And you might really become familiar with just how heavy your arms can be, right? And then the next time you breathe out, release them down. From here, if your feet were pretty wide apart, it might be more auspicious for you to bring them a little bit closer together, but you can play with this. And we'll take a few little twisting motions. Again, you have choices here. You can regulate how quickly you do this. You can also make decisions about how far you will bend into your knees. As you gently begin to move to the right, tapping your left hand to the right chest and the right hand to your left adrenal gland or kidney. And then, I better come back around, and then just move back and forth, coordinating perhaps this movement with your breath and deciding how far you might want to bend into your knees. You could inhale when you tap on the left and exhale when you tap on the right side of the chest. Coordinating breath and movement. You can move much more slowly than I am right now, or you can move more quickly, moving multiple times per breath and really inviting a lot of blood flow into your body. It is up to you, whatever you think is most auspicious for you in this moment. Maybe you can have fun with this. This is called tapping on the doors of life, because you're tapping your adrenal glands, asking them to bring you into this moment with some energy and some presence. If you did speed up, you might want to slow down very gently. Maybe at some point you're just swinging the arms, and then maybe the movement sort of ends on its own. I invite you to take a moment maybe to bring your hands to your heart, maybe your palms to your heart, to feel your own heartbeat and to notice how this little bit of movement may have changed the sensations that you're receiving from your body now. You might be more aware of your life energy pulsing through you as you feel your heartbeat under your hands. You might also notice that all on its own, your heartbeat re-regulates. That calmness always returns. That your nervous system is very wise. And release your hands. And from here, bring your arms to a cactus or goalpost position. And then again, you have choices. But the bottom line is, as you inhale, you'll come into a tiny bit of a back bend. I'll show this from the side. You decide how far. As you exhale, you'll come into a tiny bit of a forward fold, so that you're making like a cow and cat shape while you're standing up. And again, you decide what is auspicious for your body here. How quickly you move, or how slowly, how big you make your range of motion. Remembering that really our purpose with this tiny bit of flowing is to bring some blood flow into your muscles, to get enough warming up into the musculature before we ask the muscles to stretch in a really restorative way. And really tune into what is auspicious for you. Maybe your movement is really small, right? There's what's optimal is what feels best for your body. And then gently begin to slow that movement down, to decrease the range of motion. And bring your hearts yet again to your own heartbeat in whatever hand gesture feels appropriate for you in the moment. Tune inward, maybe closing the eyes, or maybe just casting your gaze downward finding a point on the floor that can steady you so that you can hold your balance. I always find that there's a certain trust I can develop in my body when I observe how well my nervous system and how well my physiology can manage to re-regulate itself without my assistance. I just have to be present and aware to notice that. And it's a really nice reminder that whenever we face challenge, we can re-regulate, we can make it through. And I think that's a beautiful self-reflection and insight to have. And go ahead and release your hands. And from here, we will take a bit of a synchronized breath together. This is called connection breath. I always like to say that yoga really isn't a synchronized sport, right? It's not like synchronized swimming, but connection breath is the one exception where it really is lovely for creating sort of a sense of community, to adjust our breathing rhythm to one another, and then to adjust our movement to one another. So you might start out here looking at the screen and actually adjusting your own movements to those as they're unfolding in other people. But again, it's your choice, right? If the rhythm of the group doesn't match you, well, then do what you need to do. I will talk us through the first cycle. It's a cycle of 6 movements, and then I'll start talking less and less and less until we can flow almost in silence together. So find a nice steady stance, yet again grounding through your feet, feeling the earth beneath you, growing tall through your spine, letting the crown of the head draw toward the sky. And then we'll start with our next inhalation. And as you inhale, bring your hands up and overhead until the palms touch. And with the exhalation, draw the hands through the central channel to your heart. As you inhale, open your arms to embrace this moment. And as you exhale, draw this moment into your heart. With your next inhalation, reach for your own higher purpose. And then as you exhale, bring your arms around the world to bring that purpose home into your own heart. From here we repeat. Inhaling, the hands up. Exhaling to draw them to the heart. Inhaling to embrace this moment. Exhaling to bring this moment into your heart. Inhaling, reaching for your higher purpose. And exhaling, drawing that purpose into your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw inward. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, reflect. Inhale, reach for something greater. Exhale, bring it home. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 3 more rounds. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last round. Drawing this moment into your heart. Opening up to this practice. Drawing it into your heart. Reaching for your higher purpose. And bringing it home. From here, I invite you to take a moment to tune in to your body, your breath, your mind, to tune into this moment, to fully ground in this space. And from this place of presence, perhaps you invite an intention for your time on the mat today. It'd be a simple word or a phrase that expresses a meaning that you find in your time on the mat, that serves you, that serves your loved ones, that might even serve your greater community. And if something arises for you that does indeed feel auspicious, you might choose to seal it into your heart as you inhale. And you might choose to send it out into your world as you exhale. And then gently release your hands. And go ahead and lower yourself to the floor for our first restorative posture, which is a wide-legged child's pose. And you have options here. So the first option is for you to have a setup where you create a little bit of an incline, either with a bolster or a large cushion or a stack of blankets. And once you have created that slope, you will make your knees wide and you'll bring yourself to that setup so that you can recline over it. And I have a blanket on top of my bolster just to bring the bolster even closer to me. It also allows me then to have my head even lower than my heart so that I can rest here very comfortably. So that's one possibility, if that works for you. Another possibility is if you have a chair and a firm cushion, or some kind of setup here that allows you to have some blankets. I have some big bath towels. Those actually work too. And then you lean in front of the bolster here, and you're a little bit more upright with this setup. But it's the same thing. You slide your arms through, and you lean yourself across the bolster. If you're too far away with your belly from the bolster, you can add a blanket here, or you can even add two. To me, this is like the most luxurious way of using the chair setup, where you just hug across, and then the arms can rest on a stack of books or blocks. And so that's another option you have. A third option you have is to actually be seated on a chair Scooting back in the chair as far as you can. Have a couple of blocks on the floor and bring your feet there with the soles of the feet together. And then lean that bolster against the wall. Have your little blankets if you want them or some cushions. And lean yourself forward here. So these are 3 options I can show you. There are many other ways that you can get creative to create this beautiful shape with wide knees that allows you to sink into the ground, to support your torso as you begin to draw your attention inward into your body. And so please stay in your chosen position. I have to get out of it so that I can talk to you. And so as you settle yourself into this restorative wide-kneed child's pose, sense your way into your physical being. In yoga, we think of multiple layers of self. Your physical being, your body, is the most tangible of those layers. You started the practice by moving your body to bring blood flow and lymphatic movement into the body. Now you're moving the body into stillness. And this is a beautiful moment to begin to listen to the feedback, to listen to the signals that are arising from your body, carried to your brain through your sensory nerves. And so take this moment to become familiar with the sensations that are present. Whatever arises, notice it with an open heart. Take a look at it with an open mind that holds no judgment about whatever shows up. There's so many different sensations that can come from our body, and you don't have to be super accurate about labeling them. Some of the things that might come up, just to give you some possible language, is maybe ease or unease from certain parts of you. Or maybe you notice a little bit of jumpiness in some parts of you, whereas other parts might be very still and quiet. Maybe there's a little bit of tingling that arises, or maybe the opposite. Maybe there's a sense of numbness. Maybe there's warmth or a sense of coolness, comfort or discomfort. Simply notice whatever arises and welcome those sensations into your awareness, open-heartedly and open-mindedly. If your neck is turned so that you have one cheek on your support, this might be a good time to turn the neck in the other direction, to receive the stretch on the other side. Continue to listen to the sensations from your body. Receiving this input with equanimity, maybe even with compassion or loving kindness. In our day-to-day life, we often tune out the signals that come from our physical being until the signals become so loud that they've become painful or distressing. A practice of tuning in when the signal is still a little bit more quiet can prevent greater distress later. And so take this beautiful moment to let your body know that you are listening. You are paying attention. You are present with your body in this moment and in this space. And if you're having a hard time tuning in to any signals or sensations from the body, then notice that. That's awareness as well. Sometimes our bodies are very still. Sometimes our body has stopped giving us signals, or we've tuned them out for so long that we're not taking them in. This too is good information to collect in this moment. Take a few more rounds of breath as you sense this amazingly tangible layer of yourself from the inside out. Receiving sensations with compassion. Paying attention with loving kindness. And storing away the inputs that you're receiving with equanimity. We'll shortly begin to transition to our next shape. I invite you to try to do this with the least amount of disturbance. I invite you to bring your hands below your shoulders so that you can press up to be in an upright position in front of your setup. And at least those of you I can see on the screen, all of you seem to be on the floor, so I'll show it that way. So that you arrive yet again in a straddle in front of your bolster. From here, I invite you to let both knees face to one side of the bolster and then bring whichever hip is closest to the bolster directly to that shorter side of the bolster, and let both feet sort of fan out to the other side next to you. From here, we'll take a very gentle twist to continue our journey into the body. So I invite you here to find a nice breath to draw the crown of the head toward the sky. And when you are all expansive like this, with an out breath, turn your torso, and you can let the opposite hip come forward with you, to turn your torso toward the bolster, and then to release your chest onto the same setup that you had before, facing forward in the same direction as your knees, so that you're draping yourself over your setup in a beautiful twist. If you were at a chair, you would do the same thing, draping yourself across like this. And if you were on a chair, turn your knees forward, have a nice blanket or something that you can turn toward. And then bring your arms at the top of the chair and rest your head on your arms, facing in the same direction as your knees. Bringing a gentle twist into your body now. And settling into this more twisted shape with as much equanimity as you can muster. And once again, tune into your physical being, tune into the sensations that may be changing a little bit now as you're bringing a bit more challenge into your posture. And so as you settle into this shape, yet again, scan your body, maybe this time somewhat systematically, perhaps starting with the torso, right where the turn is happening in the spine, and just noticing what sensations are arising from that part of you. And then perhaps scanning outward, noticing the signals from your body, from the inside out. Can you receive these sensations, however challenging they might be, without judgment? Can you be open-hearted about whatever unfolds for you? Can you keep an open mind about any surprising sensations or unusual sensations, perhaps even unpleasant sensations? Can your heart stay open with compassion and love for this body that is carrying you through each day and through each night? Continue to reflect on the sensations that are meeting you in this moment. Remaining mindful, remaining open, remaining free of judgment. As you gently twist across your support. And in a moment, I'll invite you to gently switch sides. And the way you'll do that is that you press yourself up, and then you swing your legs away from the bolster, and then bring the knees down on the other side, so that you're just reversing where you've been. And then you'll once again drape your torso across after you've lifted the crown to make your spine nice and long. And then you drape back down to your bolster, once again facing your face in the direction of the knees. The same thing happens if you were at the chair, and the same thing happens if you were on the chair. You simply swing the legs around to the other side to once again drape yourself over the chair, bringing the lovely twisting shape into your torso on the other side now. The other side might present you a whole other story. And so don't let your mind become complacent here. Don't slacken off on your observational skills. Stay mindful and notice if any of your sensations are changing now that you have changed sides. What is meeting you now? What are the signals that are arising from your body? Maybe where there was comfort before, there's discomfort now. Maybe where there was ease, there's unease, or maybe vice versa. Can you stay open-hearted and open-minded? Maybe even curious about what meets you here. Can you let yourself be surprised by sensations? Can you meet the signals from your body with a sense of wonder, a sense of curiosity? Can you let go of any little judgments or even evaluations of what is showing up? Can you gently embrace the totality of what you're experiencing in your body in this moment? Can you remain at home in your skin, regardless of the signals that you're receiving? Can you find pleasure, contentment, happiness in simply being present for your body in the same way that it is present for you every moment of every day of your life? Take a few more rounds of breath, sensing your body from the inside out. meeting yourself with wonder, with curiosity, with compassion, and with a deep sense of love for this body that carries you through your life. And shortly we will be moving toward our next shape. And so gently begin to reach your hands down to prepare to press yourself up to a seat yet again. From here, lift yourself onto your knees and then stretch both legs straight so that one leg is on either side of the same setup that you've been using all along, whether you're at the bolster on the floor or at the chair. And I'll show in a moment how you can do this on a chair. And then from here, you might need maybe another little cushion or another blanket. You'll have to sort of see how this works for you. As you move yourself forward into a very gentle forward fold, draping yourself over the bolster. I like to have lots of blankets here, so I really have something to support my belly, my chest. So even another pillow might be nice, or if you have extra blocks, you can lift this up. Or you can do it even more upright by leaning the bolster against the chair and then drape yourself across and let your hands descend, maybe hugging the bolster underneath you or placing them anywhere else that feels auspicious. It looks the same if you're doing it at the floor, and you can again grab a blanket or two to bring yourself close to the bolster, give a nice hug, legs straight. If you're on the chair, grab 2 blocks and bring them to the other side for your feet so that you can stretch the legs out on the chair with the feet having a surface that they can land on. And drape yourself over the chair here. Letting yourself sink into a beautiful restorative forward fold, supported by your wonderful props in the most auspicious way that serves you in this moment. If your knees don't want to be perfectly flat on the ground, you can absolutely lift them up a little bit. You could even have a block under them like this, so that they still can feel grounded, that your legs still can feel grounded, even if the knees are a tiny bit bent. So be very compassionate with your body and really take the time to figure out just how you want to set yourself up. There's plenty of time to be very loving in how you place your body. And so reflect. Reflect on how you can make your body comfortable here in the most auspicious, in the most congenial way. And once you have found a way of resting here that seems sufficiently easeful, gently begin to draw your attention now to your breath, to this amazing flow of life energy, of prana, as we say in Sanskrit. that moves through you for every moment of your life, starting with the first breath you draw after you're born, to the last breath you breathe out when you die. You are in a constant exchange of energy with the world around you. And so as Thich Nhat Hanh says, breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Be fully aware of your inhalation. And breathing out, know that you are breathing out. Being fully mindful of the exhalation. Notice your inhalation. Notice your exhalation. In the same way that you observed your body a moment ago, you are now observing your breath. Without any intention of changing anything, you are simply watching. You are watching the movement of life force through your body. You are watching how this energy that animates your physical being chooses to enter and exit at a rate of more than 20,000 times each day. And so watch. And as you're breathing in, know that you are breathing in. And as you're breathing out, know that you are breathing out. If your head is turned to one side, go ahead and shift directions now to the other side. And continue to breathe. And maybe as you breathe in, you welcome the inhalation with a smile. And as you breathe out, you consciously release and let go. Breathing in, receiving the nurturance from the universe. Breathing out, letting go of anything that does not serve you in this moment. Breathing in, know that you are breathing in. And breathing out, know that you are breathing out. Perhaps you can invite a sense of gratitude as your breath flows in. Perhaps you can offer up a sense of appreciation as you breathe out. Breathing in, you receive what you need. Breathing out, you let go of what no longer serves. Breathing in, know that you are breathing in. And breathing out, know that you are breathing out. And shortly we will transition to our next resting shape. The next time you inhale, use the strength of your arms to press yourself upright. And if you had blankets on your bolster, go ahead and remove them as you swing yourself around. Keep your blankets handy just in case you want them. As you bring now the low back, your sacrum, to the edge of the bolster. So again, no need to change anything in your setup. And if it feels okay to do this, go ahead and bring the soles of your 2 feet together, making like a little butterfly shape here. And if your knees are like mine and they float in the air, it's really quite lovely for your body if you take a blanket or a block, or really anything that you have handy, could be a stack of books or a jacket, and prop your knees so that they can rest on a support here. You don't want them to float open in the air for as long as we're holding here. So be very thoughtful and compassionate with your body and give your knees the support that they need. And then reach behind you and hold your bolster steady as you roll yourself down onto whatever your surface is, a bolster, a large pillow, a large cushion. And then let your hands and forearms rest on the ground. If they don't reach, you might need a block under your arms, or maybe a jacket, or any other little support so that your forearm feels grounded. You don't want the forearm to float any more than you want the knees to float. If your neck feels a little hyperextended here, you could take a jacket or a blanket or a tiny little pillow or even a towel and place it under your head so that you feel a slight tuck in your chin. And if this setup is too low, you can do exactly the same thing, leaning against the bolster that you have by your chair, bringing the feet together and then tucking the blankets under the knee in the same way. And then resting your way back against the bolster, resting your head here. And then from here, you might rest your hands in your lap, or you bring a support under your forearms so that they can rest on the ground. And choose whether you keep the eyes open or closed here. You're now facing outward into the world rather than inwards down toward a bolster. And so it might be auspicious, if you haven't explored this before, to find closed eyes or a downward gaze as you invite yourself to rest here, to find a sense of ease. First, yet again, tuning into your body, tuning into the sensations, and making any little adjustments in your position that can bring greater ease to your body. And once you have created as much ease in the body as is possible for you in this particular shape, return your attention, your mindfulness, to your breath. And this time, as you're breathing, notice how the quality of the breath resonates through you. And explore whether there are ways to create greater comfort in the breath. Not doing this with harshness or with judgment, but doing this with loving kindness and compassion. Doing this gently, sweetly. And so perhaps greater comfort in the breath for you in this moment is taking longer or shorter breaths. Or maybe greater comfort comes from a more forceful or a softer breath. Of course, if your breath is already perfectly harmonized and balanced as it is, there's no need to change anything. You're simply acknowledging that sometimes the breath can be more comfortable and that you have some sense of capability to provide that comfort to the breath once you reflected on it and have become aware. And so if there is a need, how can you bring more comfort to the breath? Maybe deeper, maybe shallower. Maybe softer or stronger. Maybe there's a place in the body where you can sense a greater ease in the movement of the breath. If you would like, you could direct your attention there. Maybe there's greater comfort in the breath in your belly or in your low ribs. Notice. Or maybe the greatest comfort comes from feeling your breath as a pulsation, a vibration of life force moving through your entire body. Reflect on where you can sense the greatest ease and comfort in your breath. And perhaps invite your attention to rest there. Perhaps as you receive breath in this more open-hearted position, you can feel yourself open up with gratitude as you receive each inhalation. And perhaps in this position of greater open-heartedness, you can have an even deeper sense of letting go, of releasing as you breathe out. Take a few more rounds of breath. Perhaps inviting an open heart as you breathe in. And inviting an open mind as you breathe out. And we will shortly change positions, shapes, one more time. And so the next time you inhale, use the support from your hands and your arms to bring yourself to an upright position. And then gently dissemble the setup that has served you so well up to this point. And if you've been using a bolster, go ahead and turn it sideways on your mat. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have a blanket spread on my mat. That's not crucial, but it is a nice softness under your back as you're now lying down on your mat. And so you have a couple of options here. The first one is that you lie down on your mat or your blanket and you press into your feet and you use the bolster to slide under your hips. And then from here, you can stretch your legs out and you can stretch your arms out. If that's too much of a back bend for your body, you can take a couple of blocks or another bolster or a stack of blankets and bring them under sort of the nice chunky part of your shins, your calves, so that the legs are as high as your hips. And then release and just notice how this feels. So we're deepening the heart opening that we began in the last shape here by making a little bit of a back bend. If this is too much, you can always remove the bolster, or if you used a block under the hips, and just take another blanket and bring it under your hips. Folding the blanket to the degree that seems auspicious for you, and just adding it to the blanket you already had, or just adding it to the mat. And here you can play with how much you fold the blanket. And then you can bring the hips to it instead of the bolster or the block. And you can yet again drape the legs onto the blocks, or if you now have a bolster, you can bring the shins onto the bolster like this. If this is still not comfortable for you, you can take your chair and you can bring your calves, your shins, onto the chair. So you would use your blanket and everything. I'm not going to move this right now to show you on the floor, but you would be on your mat or your blanket, and then your legs are on the chair like this. You can even link your feet around the back of the chair if you want to, or you could use an exercise ball. This is one of my favorite shapes. It's incredibly restorative. So you might want to take this shape even if the back bend, more of a back bend, is comfortable for you. So make an auspicious choice here. Inviting an even more open-hearted position, an even more open-hearted shape. And then once you have settled into your particular shape, gently begin to watch your mind. What is your mind bringing into this present moment? What is it serving up along the lines of thoughts, emotions, little judgments or plans? Maybe memories, preoccupations. Just tune in for a moment to notice what your mind is serving up. Tuning in not to invite judgment or criticism, but tuning in with curiosity, with that same sense of awe and wonder that you brought to the exploration of your body and your breath. Tuning in to reflect on what is the state of your mind in this moment. Use this moment as an auspicious time to notice. Are your thoughts jumpy and distracted all over the place, like a little monkey jumping from limb to limb? Or are your thoughts more on the side of ruminating, or being dull or slow, tired, exhausted, a bit more cow-like in a way? Or is your mind presenting with slight distractions, but still a sense of clarity or purpose, like a butterfly that flies from flower to flower, collecting nectar all along, but being a bit distracted? Simply notice. Simply accept what presents itself. And tuning to how your mind is unfolding in this moment. And knowing that this is how human minds work. Sometimes they're incredibly busy and overwrought. Sometimes they're a bit dull and tired. Sometimes they're distractible. Whatever you meet in your mind today, meet it with compassion and with loving kindness. And perhaps with the equanimity of knowing that you do not have to follow every train of thought to its end. Just reflect on its presence and let it be on its way. Let it make its path. Neither chasing it away nor clinging or grasping. true yoga is truly about developing over many years of practice the capacity to still those fluctuations of the mind, to receive whatever emerges from our mind with equanimity and with the clarity that these are just mental fabrications. If we get wrapped up in the past, we realize these are just thoughts about the past. They do not have to have bearing on the present. If we get caught up in planning for the future, we can remind ourselves we are simply thinking about something that may or may not happen. We don't have to get trapped in those thoughts. This sense of equanimity, this sense of not getting trapped, happens only if you're aware, if you're paying attention, if you're noticing that the thoughts are there to begin with. And so if you notice your mind wandering away, that's a good sign. It's a sign that you're becoming mindful. It's a sign that you're beginning to pay attention. It's a sign that you're on the true yogic path toward finding stillness, toward finding contentment, toward finding equanimity. From here, you have the option of changing to whatever shape feels auspicious to you for ending your practice in a moment of reflection and ultimately in a moment of silence. You can stay in the shape that you're in if that's comfortable and conducive to a sense of calm, a sense of stillness. Or you can move into a more typical shavasana shape, perhaps propping your head on a blanket. You might even choose to take a blanket and cover up so that you stay nice and warm as you move into your final resting shape. You could have a little lift under the knees by rolling up a blanket. So whatever feels auspicious for you. Make your choice about how you want to settle yourself into a few final moments of reflection and silence. Maybe you return to one of the shapes we tried earlier, or maybe you come flat on your back. You've just spent quite a bit of time cultivating sensitivity to the sensations from your body and your breath. And so if you stay attuned to that, you will find the most auspicious shape for your final reflection. So I invite you to settle yourself into your final resting position with sweetness, with compassion, and with loving kindness. With a deep appreciation for your body, this amazing physical layer of yourself that carries you through the day and through the night. with a deep appreciation for your breath that brings you life. From the moment of your birth to the moment of your death. It is your companion. It is your doorway into regulating your nervous system, into finding a sense of calmness in the midst of challenge. Settle in also with a sense of appreciation for your mind. This amazing tool or capacity that you have to pay attention, to become literally mindful, to know what is happening in your thoughts and emotions. To be with whatever is without judgment, without clinging, and without grasping. Every moment of your life can be a yoga moment. Yoga is not limited to your mat. And so as you move through life in general, can you maintain this attitude of reflection? Can you stay mindful? Can you stay connected to the sensations that arise from your body? Can you stay attuned to the feedback that you're receiving from your breath in every moment? And can you continue to reflect on the state of your mind and the nature of your thoughts? And as you stay mindful in this way, can you feel your own readiness for growth, for change, for transformation? Can you make discerning choices about how you will meet each moment of your life? From here, I invite you into a few moments of stillness. Gently begin to draw your senses outward, noticing the sounds around you. sensing the air on your skin, maybe feeling the weight of your clothing or your blanket. Maybe even blinking the eyes open if they were closed to take in your surroundings. As you gently wiggle your body awake, making little movements or taking little stretches. And perhaps you invite a nice conscious breath in and out. And then before you move anywhere, plot out the journey from your current position to a seat. And then when you feel ready to move in your own due time and in your own way, find your way to an upright position. And once you've arrived in a seat, I invite you to find a comfortable position for your hands. Maybe your palms are on your thighs, or maybe they come to your heart, or maybe you bring your palms together at your heart. As you take a moment to bow your head to your heart. Maybe take a moment to thank yourself for taking 90 minutes out of your busy life to reflect on your body, to reflect on your breath, to reflect on your mind. Maybe find a sense of love and compassion for yourself with regard to anything that emerged for you today that was challenging. And perhaps commit yourself to your continued growth, evolution, and transformation. May you love yourself just as you are. May you always sense your worthwhileness and your well-being. May you trust the world in which you're grounded. And may you hold yourself in compassion. Thank you so much for joining me for this winter solstice reflective practice. It's been a joy, and I truly appreciate your presence in my life. Thank you so much.